without the prosecution coming up with such evidence.
In the interim, 3 ministers have been arraigned in court over the mismanagement of Karamoja iron sheets. The suspected ministers behind the band out on bail include the Minister for Karamoja Affairs and Woman Member of Parliament for Manafwa, Dr. Margaret Chitutu, State Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Agnes Nandutu, and State Minister for Finance Amosiru Golobi, not excluding on the charge sheet the young brother to Minister Margaret Chitutu, Naboya Michael Chitutu. The four who appeared at the anti-corruption court for trial pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences. But under what circumstances can one plead guilty and why?
Every person has got that right. There is nothing wrong with pleading not guilty and later on being convicted. It is your constitutional right to say I'm not guilty and you let the government prove it. That's how our system works.
The accused person is also at liberty just to keep quiet. The judicial officer will enter a plea of not guilty. It's all about the evidence by the state. And the statements we make outside the court are not, generally speaking, are not evidence against that particular person.
With any offence leveled against any suspect, the climax of the case comes when the accused is acquitted or convicted with offence. But who has the burden of proof to prove any case before court?
It may say a person who steals, and then you go into stealing to find out what are the ingredients of stealing. You will find that 1, taking somebody's property. 2, intentionally to permanently deprive that person. You can only convict Lugorovi. According to me, to my opinion, I may be wrong, you can only convict him if you can prove that he knew that the minister had acquired these mabatis illegally.
With the 53 alleged members of parliament and ministers involved in the Karamoja iron sheets scandal, prosecution has so far presented 3 ministers to court for trial.
When the pension case came up, it was a huge amorphous case. We had so many suspects. We struggled with it for 1 full year until it was dismissed when we had not started the case. So this particular case would be one of the kind. And let's have each beneficiary, let's open a file for each beneficiary who received. So that if A says, I received, how did you receive it?
Even if they present all suspects, say, for instance, 10 suspects, 7 of them plead guilty and 3 plead not guilty, the court will convict the 7 and the prosecution will have the burden to prove that indeed even the 7, the 3 committed the offense.
The DPP carries out investigations and charges people, accused person, according to the evidence he has. The DPP may have other suspects, but is still building, they're still collecting evidence against them. So although they may be the prime suspects, the fact that she's still collecting evidence, she can still put them aside.
The charges of dealing with suspect property is alleged to have been committed by Minister Amosiru Golobi and Agnes Nandutu, who was on Wednesday this week committed to High Court for trial.
So for the case of Honorable Agnes Nandutu, the inquiries were 100%. We were ready to start hearing the case. So there's nothing really unique about it, apart from the fact that inquiries are 100%, and we made a decision that it should be committed to the High Court.
Following the charges against the 3 ministers, one may think of seeing them out of their respective offices and even resign. However, legal minds highlight circumstances. The 2 decisions can be applied.
That is really a personal decision for a political leader to come to the conclusion that continuing to hold a position is not tenable, that it is not it can no longer be justified to continue as a minister.
One of the reasons as to why interdiction is effected is to allow investigations during the disciplinary proceedings. As regards to morality, you know, somebody may look at it from a moral point of view. I say it's real that this has happened.
Being that those alleged to have been involved in Karamoja and Sheets saga are facing charges at the Anti-Corruption Court, there is no doubt that their actions involved corruption, with the enactment of the Anti-Corruption Act, aimed at addressing and punishing those involved in the vice of corruption. But the question remains, has the law been applied to its fullest?
The willingness of the duty bearers, the capacity of the duty bearers to do the needful.
Implementation plus adequate funding. You want a CID officer who is investigating a huge crime and is coming from a grass house.
It's alleged that ministers who acquired the Karamoja and Sheets distributed them to their voters, while others donated them.
But I ordered that they should be given to schools. I did not open a shop, sell them, but they were given to schools.
If I had primary schools who also had requested differently, I would have divided the iron sheets.
No, they will definitely be helping in investigations. They will not be, unless if those beneficiaries sold those iron sheets, then they will definitely be charged. But if it is taken to a church and it was a donation to a church and they roof a church, why would we charge them? They would just be aiding us in helping us in investigations.
However, legal minds have a different view as regards to the issue at hand.
If you charge a minister with theft and the minister says, yes, I took those mabati, but if you go to Namaingo Primary School, you will find that mabati on the school owned by government. There is no theft. So you must prove all the ingredients.
All in all, if police investigations are complete, with those who will be arraigned in courts of law to be prosecuted, the ball remains in the hands of the prosecution to prove its case against those alleged in the Karamoja and Sheets scandal.